Michael Jordan is undoubtedly one of the best players to ever play in the NBA. He had such a rare blend of skill that he was basically untouchable in the league. And this skill led to plenty of other players fearing him when he was still playing in the league. But why did these guys fear him so much? Well, let's dive into 10 reasons why. Number 10, he was absolutely carrying the league when he was playing. The NBA was popular before Michael Jordan came along, there's no question about that. However, when he made it into the league, it was like the NBA just skyrocketed up in popularity. And Jordan was the face of everything.
One word would be greatness. I would describe Michael Jordan as the GOAT, greatest of all time.
Fans looked up to him, players took in everything that he had to say, and coaches at times felt like he might have been coaching them. When players had to go up against him, all they could think about was how much of an icon he became in just a short amount of time. Jordan carried the league to a point where he was the face of it for decades.
Michael Jordan was doing things that you never even thought you'd see.
Steal, he kept it in bounds. Here it is again.
You couldn't imagine seeing it.
Number 9, his private jet. Former NBA All-Star Jason Williams recently spoke out about the time Michael Jordan was in the league. He dove into a bit of detail to talk about how players were scared of Jordan, and this was when he decided to talk about Jordan's private jet. This private jet would follow Jordan and the team plane during every single away game for years. And what was in that jet, you might ask? Well, apparently Jordan had his entire entourage stacked in there. When asked about it, Williams said that they were bar-loitering street goons. I don't know about you guys, but knowing you've got to go up against a dude who literally has an entire posse behind him on every trip is pretty terrifying. Especially because there's nobody else doing that nowadays, or really did that back then either. Number 8, his rookie season. Not many rookies are going to scare other players in the NBA, but Michael Jordan was a different breed. In just his rookie season, he was able to instill fear on just about everybody he played against due to his high level of play on the floor. It felt like you were about to get cooked every time you lined up against him. Players were already aware of him due to him knocking down that game-winning shot in the college national championship, but facing him in person was a bit of a wake-up call. In that first season, he found a way to average 28 points a game on 51% shooting from the field. And obviously, he went on to win the Rookie of the Year award.
15 points the difference right now as Jordan brings it up. 50 seconds remaining. Jordan with a seam. What a jam!
Number 7, his ability to take over an entire game. In today's NBA, we've got some players who can simply take over a game and establish dominance over the rest of the court. Jordan, though, did that pretty much every game he played in. And this doesn't even count his trash-talking games or things like that either. This is simply counting the times he walked out on the floor and everybody on the other side knew that he could explode for 70 in the blink of an eye. You know that you instill fear on your opponents when an opposing team literally makes a defensive scheme against you. That was called the Jordan rules. These were created by the 80s Detroit Pistons, and basically it meant to double or triple team him whenever he ended up touching the ball. It also meant that they were going to hit him every time he drove to the basket.
Trying to penetrate, finds Jordan. Michael to the hoop. What a goal!
Number 6, the shoes. Jordan made the shoe world popular and practically did it all on his own. When he finally chose to sign a deal with Nike, it was like the whole world just burst into flames and everybody had to purchase those shoes he was dishing out. The Air Jordan shoes and the marketing that was coming with it just flew around the NBA and circulated every day. Players knew it as the Jordan brand of athletic goods, and it was so influential that a lot of the rules about sneaker sponsorships were changed because of him. It's hard not to be scared of a dude who was dominating an entire industry on his own and basically made Nike what it is today.
You gotta get a pair of Jordans. You gotta get a pair of Jordans. I would cut grass and do chores and save up money and wait in line at Foot Locker.
Number 5, taking a break, then coming back to dominate. Let's start off by saying Jordan is one of the most athletically gifted players of all time. This was the reason that he decided to retire at such a weird time and shock the basketball world. He wanted to just go and play in the MLB. He played baseball for about 2 years and had a few nice plays, but it was clear that nobody was taking him too seriously. So he later returned to the NBA and just absolutely dominated once again. He scored 55 points in just his 5th game back in Madison Square Garden and later went on to win multiple championships with the Chicago Bulls. Not many players can pull off something like that. And if you want to go on to be as successful as Jordan was, you better make sure to smash that subscribe button right now.
Pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win it!
All right, now let's get back to the video. Number 4, nothing could stop him. It's gotta be so incredibly demoralizing when you do everything in your power to stop a person and yet they just keep scoring. It really kills your entire motivation for defense at that point. And it wasn't just players that couldn't stop Michael Jordan, but the flu couldn't do it either. During the NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz, Jordan fell into a horrible fever and was sweating and shivering like he couldn't imagine.
He woke up with flu-like symptoms, he had a stomach ache and a headache, and he couldn't go back to sleep. He threw up all night.
Everybody thought he wasn't going to play, yet he managed to suit up and then came into the game and dropped 38 points to help win the game. He later won the championship a few days after that. Now, as an opponent and one with a pretty strong defensive team, can you imagine that glimmer of hope when they thought, well, maybe Jordan wouldn't be at 100% in the NBA Finals, and yet he still manages to drop 38 points on them.
Classic performance by the flu-ridden Michael Jordan.
Number 3, his defensive abilities. Normally, when a player is this dominant on the offensive end, you'd think that he might just save his energy on defense, but that was not the case for Michael Jordan. He was able to make it onto all defensive first team in 9 different seasons. That's tied for the most appearances on these teams throughout one career in the history of the league, with only Gary Payton having the same amount. And if you weren't already convinced of his defensive abilities, how about he's second all-time in playoff steals? He also has a Defensive Player of the Year title to his name. So not only does he kill your hope offensively, but he goes on the other end and then embarrasses you there too. Number 2, his competitiveness. If you watched his documentary, then you are aware of just how competitive he was.
I feel like I'm the most fierce competitor there is. I don't think I'm ever going to find something to equal the game of basketball for me.
Nothing was ever just a game to him. He wanted to compete all the time, and he wanted to win no matter the circumstances. In some poker games on the team plane, he would be ridiculously competitive and gamble with other players all the time. He would also gamble against other people during golf matches. And that doesn't even talk about the fact that he'll step out onto the court and decide to bring his team back and win a game even if they're losing. Honestly, I've never seen anything quite like Michael Jordan. There were times when it looked impossible for the Bulls to even get it to a close game, yet he walks out onto the floor, scoring almost every bucket for the team and then bringing them back to an improbable victory. Nobody quite beats that competitiveness, and players definitely were afraid of that.
That's why I love the end of the game, because it comes down to that one moment when it's all in my hand.
Number 1, his trash talking. Jordan was unbelievably feared when it came to trash talk, so much so that his teammates were literally scared of messing up during a scrimmage to avoid getting chewed into by Jordan. You couldn't even take a single play off to rest, or else he would pounce all over you, ripping you apart with his words. He also couldn't stand being trash talked to either. If you had something to say to him, he would make it his duty to dominate you, then trash talk right back at you. And now that we're on this topic, it's only right to share his story about Muggsy Bogues here. We all know that Bogues was just 5'3", one of the smallest NBA players of all time. In a Game 5 playoff matchup, Bogues had the ball with his team down 1 point. Jordan backed off him in the middle of the possession and yelled, "Shoot it, you midget!" Muggsy then felt pressured and shot the ball, but didn't even come close. Bogues later commented on that play and said that one in particular might have ruined his career. His jump shot was never able to recover from that moment. I'm pretty sure if I was another player going up against Jordan, I might be afraid that he's going to break my jump shot forever too, and would avoid him at all costs. And a lot of players did just that. That does it on the 10 reasons that players feared Michael Jordan so much. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out what made Larry Bird so scary good next.